Y'all, we have 4 days. At the time of the recording of this video, we have 4 days left in 2025, and 2025 has been wild. All right, 2025 has been insane. In many ways, it has been one of the best years for Kardavox Academy and for the channel. It's been a year of extreme growth, faster growth than I've been able to keep up with, to be honest with you. It's been a year of awesome networking. It's been a year where I really decided to reach out to as many people as possible and make some new friends, make some new connections, see who I can meet and who I could talk to. It's also been a lot of ambitious projects, which we'll talk about in a second. But today, I was sitting down to do another video, and I said, no, I'm going to do a little wrap up video. I'm going to do a very small 2025 wrap up video and talk about what I want to do, where I want to go, what I want this thing to look like. I don't know why I'm so phlegmy. Well, I do know why, actually. We were up late last night watching movies and having snacks. So the acid reflux is shaking its finger at me. But ultimately, as you saw on the thumbnail, and the reason why I think you're watching this is because something with Kardavox Academy has got to change. Now, before anybody worries, no, I'm not going to quit coaching. No, I'm not going to quit Kardavox Academy. No, Kardavox Academy is not going anywhere. Still me. And I don't know exactly what the plan is yet, but 2025 was a very revealing year for me in a lot of ways. There was a lot of good stuff that I talked about, but there were also a lot of things where I started to get the itch to do a little bit more, to do things a little bit differently. And you know, that's not due to anything, it's not like, poor metrics are causing me. I was gonna say causing us, causing me. I do have a couple editors who help me out, and I appreciate you, Ludo, Vadim. You're the best. Verona's helping out with videos and clean vocal coaching. So us. Um, it's not like we're scrambling around being like, oh no, the landscape's changing. We gotta adapt, right? But the landscape is changing, and we do need to adapt. And that's just part of running a business. That's just part of making things work. Now, a lot of this has grown from my desire to add a little bit more creativity into my career. You know, a very large portion of what I do is not very creative at all. Some people would say, no, it's creative. I think you can make analysis creative. That's the main thing I do here. Uh, Harsh vocal, metal vocal, extreme vocal, whatever we want to call it, analysis. That's the main thing I do here. And then there's also vocal coaching, which is creative in a non-artistic way. It's creative in a non-artistic way. And I do not plan to stop coaching because I love it. I thrive on it. I often dislike all of the parts of running a business that go with it, the parts that only I can really do, which is handling, sales tax and year-end taxes and all the like accounting type thing. But the actual act of starting the call, getting a student on the line, and helping them make progress is something I don't plan to stop doing anytime soon, because it's honestly kind of a thrill from me, especially when a student really starts to make strides. And with that kind of leads into one of the things I'm going to be doing in 2026 is that I have a handful of students that are extremely talented, and I have been lucky to be a part of their vocal journey. I've been lucky to be a part of their growth as a vocalist, and their progress is mostly them. We meet for an hour, little less, a month, and we work on their voice and we communicate between lessons, but they're the ones doing the practice. They're the ones putting in the work. They're the ones listening to and understanding their own body and what it responds with. So it's mostly their journey, and I'm along for the ride. But one thing that I'm already doing is I've got some singles. I just thought to myself, these students either they want to be in bands, but they don't quite have the exposure, or they are in a band, and I think their band should be like 20 times bigger, 30 times bigger. But again, the exposure is hard to get. Now, Kardavox Academy is not this big, huge, massive platform. Okay. But if there's anything I can do to help, I will. And so I thought to myself, well, what a great way to get my creative itch scratched by writing my own songs. Well, actually, I'm just writing the vocal patterns and the lyrics. Jacob Lizotte, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, homie, of Dark Cabin Studios, has been writing for me, as well as a student and friend of mine. His first name is Joachim, and he is also the creator of a great plugin called Screamer, Ablaze Audio. He's been helping me writing some songs as well. And so creating collaborative projects with a handful of my students, not with the goal of saying, ooh, look at this student that I created. I built their voice. Yeah, that's very like Michael Scott. That's a very Michael Scott thing to do, to be like, look at me. I made this. This is all my endeavor. Because it's not. Really, my vocal coaching does not matter if the student doesn't put in hard work. There's nothing that my vocal coaching will do that will flip a magic switch. My vocal coaching, paired with their hard work, their dedication, their ability to stay calm when things are frustrating, that is what has helped them be successful. And so if I can give them a little bit of a push by creating a cool single and then doing a single together, that is something I'm excited to do. I don't know how many of those I'm going to do. They're expensive to do, but they're fun to do. I'm also going to be working on my own music, on my own tracks, and releasing them here on the channel. I don't know how many I'll do. 1, 2, 5. It's hard to say. This channel is not going to become a playthrough channel. It's not going to become a Kardavox's nonstop music videos channel, because ultimately at my core, I'm an educator. I truly feel that that is what I am meant to do, whatever meant to do means. And that's what I want to keep doing. But I think the channel needs an injection of some fresh new content. And in fact, I'm not going to show you any of the stuff that I'm working with my students on, because their vocal takes are raw and they have varying levels of comfort with that. People hearing their raw takes, which I'm like, it's fine, you sound great. But I can show you a little preview of one of the songs that I am working on. This is just going to be me, just Mark. And another part of this as well. Okay, I've got it pulled up here. Another part of this as well is I like to push my own boundaries. The main band that I do the only band that I do vocals for right now is Kardashev. That is my love. That is my baby that I share with other people. Actually, really, it's mostly Nico's baby, because homie puts in a ton of hard work. He's a guitarist. And I'll never stop doing that. But in Kardashev, every album, I try to introduce new vocal techniques. I try to extend my singing range. I try to scream higher or scream lower, or just push myself in some direction. And I often regret it. But at the same time, it's part of the reason I am the vocalist I am today. And so I thought to myself, Mark, how you often say that you think deathcore is really cool, but it's not your favorite. Well, you should get over that and make some deathcore music. So it may not be strictly deathcore. It may not be entirely fully deathcore to its T. This song is very bouncy. This is a little preview of the outro of a song that was written again by my friend and a student, Joachim, who is Ablaze Audio and created the plugin. He wrote the instrumentals. These are my vocals over, and this is the outro of the song. So let's go. I'll show it to you. Why not? I got nothing to hide. Here we go. Let's check it out.
How can my son's speech ever be free? Never flop on my secret attack. Fucking bullshit. That's a fucking bullshit. Better than ever to say I don't need it. So you can hear my fucking second. The fear and self-protection. Back to us again. Demon is hatred with a bloated gun. There's a warning morals wanted. One and one thinking for his friend. And his sleeping stays while he was one. That's what you got holding his hand. Stand for the flag.
So that's a song that I'm currently working on. And I have had an absolute blast. It feels good to create music again. Oftentimes you are talking about other people creating music, and you are helping other people create their own music. And it can, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but it can leave you feeling a little hollow sometimes, because you're like, man, I am also a musician and I want to be doing that. So this is a song I don't have the name for it yet. And I may change it. It's a little bit on the edgier side for me for the Kardavox brand. The content of the song is essentially me being very angry about how the country I live in, the United States, responds to gun violence in schools. That is the content of the song. It's not about any one particular person. It's not, me. It's less about me calling, pointing my finger at somebody, and more about me just expressing my fears as a dad, as my son gets older, and thinking about that first day of school and being like, oh, we're gonna take the cute little picture where he's wearing his backpack and he's gonna run off to school, and I'm gonna be like, love you, son. And then every day I'm gonna be like, that's could be it. There we go. Um, because this song has some pretty rough lines in it, because I think that's important. But it's not nice thinking about how your son could be middle-aged at any time. He could be middle-aged at 6, you don't know. So that's what that's about. I'm not trying to get super with these tracks. I'm not trying to build like a new angry persona or anything like that. More so, I just want to express myself a little bit. And that is, as a dad, what I've been thinking about a lot as my son gets older. uh I'm smiling because I'm not smiling because I think it's funny. I'm smiling because I think it's absolute insanity. um so those are two of the things that I want to do there. Create some music with my students to help give them a step up, and also to create my own music for the fun of it, honestly. The other thing about it too, so kind of the next part, this video is going to be in three parts basically, but another part of what I have been noticing is, and what I've been thinking about, is that there needs to be a slight change up in the content here on this channel. One thing about, I've mentioned this in a couple videos recently, one thing about Kardavox Academy when it started, um, I got a little bit lucky. And the reason I got a little bit lucky, and I hate to say it that way, but it is the truth, is that Kardavox Academy started when everybody was stuck at home due to COVID. And so there were a lot of people sitting at home being like, oh, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to learn how to do this. I'm stuck inside. Why don't I watch 10 of this guy's videos? And so it was very easy. I don't want to stand on the hardship of what people went through. I'm not trying to say I'm thankful for it, but the fact of the matter is just the raw math. There were people at home binge watching YouTube. So you didn't really have to, I hate to say it, try too hard. At least I didn't. And this has changed. Kardavox Academy, how many videos do I have? It's a lot. Like, goodness. I'll look it up here in a second, but Kardavox Academy has been doing reaction and analysis videos for a very long time. And I want to be clear, I don't plan on stopping that. I enjoy doing that. I think it's helpful. I think it's useful. Views on reaction and analysis videos are certainly down, but they're not abysmally bad. They're not so bad that I'm over here like, people don't watch reaction video. Well, sometimes when I have a little bit of an existential crisis, I get a little dramatic. But yeah, 665. Yo, this is the 666th video. Oh my God. No way. This video is going to be my black metal heart. My black metal heart is so pleased that this is going to be the 666th video. Man, I wish I had thought about that. God dang. What a, man, I should have thought of something. You know what? As the only thing I can think of is long ago, me and a bunch of other guys, Nico from Kardashev, and Sean also from Kardashev, and a buddy of mine, Paul, who I haven't talked to in a long time. What up, Paul? We and Tyler, we created a black metal album. We wrote the whole thing in a week. It kind of sounds like we wrote it in a week, but I'm very proud of it. Nico wrote the instrumentation in a week, I should say. It's the project was called Never Breath. The album was called "To Defile is to Transcend." Literally, we went and we saw Belphegor, and I think it was Dark Funeral, and we were like, we want to do this too, and so we wrote the album. It was a lot of fun. Never Breath is still doing stuff. I've stepped away from it, just from for a time perspective, but I know Tyler's out there still writing music, so I don't know what they're doing now. They may release an album soon. I ain't gonna be on it. But you can, I did one black metal project that's kind of silly. It's kind of tongue in cheek, but I'm proud of it. So that's it. So, anyways, Kardavox has this will be the 666th video, which is like very special. And most of those have been reaction and analysis, either me or Verona and I together, or me getting a guest on the channel. And again, while views are not in the garbage can, across the board, YouTube and I watch a lot of creators in the video game space, the Dungeons and Dragons space, like some of my favorite channels. Which, if you're into video games and Dungeons and Dragons, these are some channels I highly recommend. There is Dungeon Craft. I love Dungeon Craft. I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm a YouTuber who watches a lot of YouTube. I love Dungeon Craft. I love Skill Up. I love the Kaseki Nut. I love David Vink. I love Backlog Battle. I love Daryl Talks Games. I think it's called Rasputin, I think is another good one. Jacob Geller is a really good YouTuber. Gosh, who else do I enjoy watching? I mean, those are the main players. Pelvic Gaming is good. She's been posting less recently. That's another good one. But anyway, these are the channels that I really like, and across the board, many of them have been mentioning that views on YouTube are low. Now, this doesn't really give me like a cause for concern, because YouTube has never been my main source of revenue. It's not how I pay my bills. YouTube revenue is very low for us. I remember one time I went to Social Blade and I looked up Kardavox Academy and I was like, dang, I don't know where they're getting those numbers. I don't know where they're getting that. But this, honestly, I've kind of designed it in this way over the past really 2 years, year and a half to 2 years. Because YouTube revenue can be very up and down, but there are always going to be people who want to learn how to scream, right? So for me, it hasn't really caused a lot of anxiety. I've pivoted a little bit more to Instagram. I've got a whole slew. I've got like 3 months worth of shorts that I made in like 2 days, that I'm just editing and eventually going to post out. The shorts have been doing very well, but I don't want to stop making YouTube videos. That's kind of, at this point become a bit of my identity. That's a bit of who I am as a person. But I do need to find new content to do. I've thought about doing playthroughs. I'm not interested in doing that at all. Even remotely. Maybe mini playthroughs, like where it's just a section of the song, that I'm more interested in doing on maybe Instagram or YouTube Shorts. But the main reason I'm not interested in doing that, number one, is time. I'm not someone who's ever learned new songs very quickly. You've got people like Trevor Tiekert, I think I don't know how to pronounce your last name, but that dude, he can memorize a song seemingly in 10 minutes. Johnny Chardulo, Carcosa, and Angel Maker, good God. A song comes out, he's got it memorized in a video of it the next day. For me, I'm 3 weeks in and I still don't have the lyrics memorized. And so it's a time thing. And it's also like, if I'm going to be working on music, I'm really in a place where I want to work on my own music, right? Like I talked about before. So I'm not really interested in doing covers or vocal playthroughs, maybe of a Kardashev song, right? So this is where I'm kind of opening it up to you. I'm curious what kind of things you would like to see me do on this channel. I want to stick with being primarily about vocal education. The reason is that that's what I do. The reason is that that's what I am good at. And it's also how I pay my bills. My wife and I both work, and we both work very hard. We both work a lot. And, ultimately, I enjoy what I do and I'm thankful for what I do. But, my goal is to continue to feed and clothe my son, to continue to pay for a place to live. And so thankfully, I'm able to do that incredibly reliably. But it does mean I'm not really interested in like a full on content switch. right? So really, I would love to hear from you in the comments section. What would you like to see from Kardavox Academy? Again, with the caveat that I'm just genuinely not interested in doing full song playthroughs. Unless it's something fun with other vocalists, unless it's something like me and other vocalists are networking. But like, how many more people do you really need to see do to the Hellfire? I mean, come on, really? It's a lot. So that kind of pivots me into my last section, maybe kind of two sections, but it's with the overall structure of things. So one thing that I have been incredibly lucky and incredibly thankful for, and well, it's a lot of hard work, is that Cardvox Academy, I am thankful and I am blessed to have very consistent business. I have not really ever had to struggle finding students to help. And I am humbled by that. It causes me to continue to try to learn more, to learn better coaching techniques, to be a better teacher, to work on my health so I can show up for my students better, and also to interrogate my own process. You know, sometimes one thing that will happen occasionally is that people in the comments section or on a short or something will mention a misconception or something I got wrong in previous videos or a fact that I didn't know. But honestly, whenever they point this out, for me, it it makes me feel, it makes me feel proud when they're like, oh yeah, well, in this video, in these three videos from a couple years ago, you said this thing that was totally wrong, and now you're saying this. It's like, hell yeah, dude. Hell, of course I am. Yeah, because as a good educator, I need to continually make sure I'm learning, continue to correct things that I don't understand, continue to bring in things that I need to understand. I mean, when I went up to the University of Utah, which was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had with my in my life, with the charismatic voice and the staff at the university, you know, Dr. Amanda Stark and everything. You think I was up there talking like I had any authority? I was asking million, okay, maybe not millions. I was asking a ton of questions. Legitimately, there was a time where Amanda and I, we were like sitting in like the Airbnb and I was just like blasting her with questions. I was like, okay, well, how does this work? Well, how does this work? So this is my understanding of how this works. Am I not understanding it clearly? Could I be understanding it better? Oh, okay. So you have patients that have this. Well, I have students who do something similar. What sort of approaches do you take? Now, obviously I'm not like giving people therapy, but you know, anytime I can learn something, anytime I can grow and either bring new knowledge into my brain or correct prior knowledge, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Because if I didn't, I would not be a very good teacher. But anyways, I kind of got off on a tangent because I love learning as much as I love teaching people things. Um, but in that, it is definitely time to scale Cardavox Academy in interesting ways. Now, I don't have anything set in stone yet, so I can't announce anything that's going to be done. But right now, one thing I have noticed is that my workload has gotten so tremendously high that is hard that, you know, it is hard for me to fully at times deliver as an instructor. Um, you know, the second half of 2025 has seen me working 70 to sometimes 90 hours per week, just with content creation, keeping track of accounting, getting like they're part of running a business is just making sure all your like licenses and you got to have your city license, and then you got to have your, I live in Arizona, so you got to make sure your TPT license is good, and then you know you got to make sure you're keeping all records of all your accounting for X amount of years, file all those invoices, you know. And so it's a lot of that. It's just things that happen as you grow. And so there are times when, you know, I am running on like 4 hours of sleep, and that has impacted, I think, not to the degree I hope, that it feels not worth it to work with Kardavox Academy. Usually about once a month I scan the internet. I do like a little bit of market research, just to see how people are talking about Kardavox Academy, not because I'm like, you know, oh, what are people saying about me, but because people are very rarely going to criticize me to my face. They are more likely to do it online. And it's important for me to know those things, even if they're not fun to hear, because that is an example of where I need to improve. And thankfully, the entire time I've been doing this, the vast majority of it has been very useful, very constructive. I get most people talking very kindly. I get now I don't know who they are, of course, because I'm not really on Reddit that much, but I'll see people and they'll be like, "Oh, I worked with him 6 months ago," or "I worked with him for about a year and it was awesome." And so people are really enjoying the lessons, it seems. And I'm seeing a lot of improvement. So I'm confident that I have not let the overworked nature of my work impact my lessons too much, but I feel like I want to be doing better. I always want to be a better coach. And so I am going to be changing the structure of how Kardavox Academy works slightly. Um, to any of my current students watching, no, don't worry, I'm not dropping you. I'm also not raising my prices on you. Don't worry, I don't. I'm not doing that. I just mean finding strategic ways for me to not be so overworked. And again, I know I'm being kind of vague. I am working on that. I do have something in the works right now, which I think is pretty exciting. But one thing, if for any of my business owners out there, one thing that you have to that you understand is that you must scale to survive. And if you don't scale properly, you become overworked, you become drained. And much of this, sometimes people are like, "Oh, well, hire an assistant." And I have thought about that, but most of it's stuff that only I can do. Most of the things that are overworking me, like, again, even though I have an accountant, it's prepping everything for the accounting. An assistant is not going to know what I know about harsh vocalization. They can't continue education for me. You know what I'm saying? So if hiring an assistant would be great, but it would be taking care of the things that are honestly the easiest part of this job: clearing out an inbox, responding to inquiries, um, making a thumbnail. Those parts aren't hard, right? So again, I kind of have to leave it there because I don't really want to talk about exactly what I'm working on yet. Because I'm not sure exactly what it's going to look like, but I've got some irons in the fire, so to speak. And they're good and they're promising and they're exciting. But again, Cardavox Academy is not going anywhere. I'm not going to stop teaching. I'm not shutting down the business. I'm not selling the business as far as I know. Any buyers out there? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I wouldn't want to. I don't think I'd want to do that. It would have to be a really good deal for me to sell the business because I like having the freedom to kind of do what I want to a degree. So to kind of sum it up, again, 2026 is going to be a year where I try to focus more on my creative endeavors. It's also going to be a year where I change up my content slightly. I'm going to be hitting Instagram and YouTube Shorts much harder. TikTok, I hate TikTok. Like, I delete that app every 3 months because I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna be transparent. It's a cesspool of like the absolute worst parts of humanity. I'm gonna be honest. I hate TikTok. But I will be posting there via a website called later.com, so I don't have to walk into it and smell the feces. That is the comments section of TikTok. I hate it. Like, there are two things I really hate: ska and TikTok. And ska I hate, but I have respect for. TikTok, not so much. I'm just kidding. I kind of have respect for TikTok. I don't know. Anyway, so I will be posting there, but I will not be logging on there. Don't send me a message on TikTok. I will not respond because I hate that app. So anyway, working on my own creative projects, changing up the content and hitting shorts content a little bit more, and then also changing the structure of the business a little bit so I have honestly more time. Now, what do I want to do? This is the last part. What do I want to do with that extra time? I do need more time. Well, honestly, the main thing I want to do with that time is I want to be a better dad. Uh, I have not had an actual weekend with my son, like a true real weekend with my son, since his birth. Um, because usually Saturdays, like today is a Saturday, I'm working in the morning. And then Sundays, I usually give between 6 and 9 lessons. And then in the afternoon, I got to prep for the work week. I got to check all my emails. I got to respond to stuff. I got to make sure, depending on what time, like where we are in the month, I have to prep, financial stuff to send off to my accountant. And I don't like that. And my son is aware of, he's 3, and let me tell you something. People like to joke, they'll say kids are stupid. They are not. My son he remembers. He keeps logs. He is literally he will there was one day where I was going to take him to like the science museum or something. No, the aquarium. I was going to take him to the aquarium, and I had to cancel. I had to tell my son, "Hey, sorry, I can't go," because I had not gotten enough done during the week. And if I didn't get it done, it was going to bleed into the next week. And then you can't do that. Um, and that was like a year ago. So he would have been 2. And like literally, I'll be like snuggling him, reading him books to put him down for bed. And he'll be like, "Daddy, remember when you said you were going to take me to the aquarium and you didn't?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to be that kind of dad, y'all." Because ultimately, my like Kardavox Academy is my 4th priority in my life, probably. My first priority is my son. That's my main thing I'm doing on the planet right now, is trying to be a good dad, trying to be a good father. That's my main. I wake up in the morning and I go to bed at night, and my purpose for existing right now is to be a good father. I'm serious. After that, it's my relationship with my wife. After that, it's my own personal health, my mental health, my physical health. And then after that, it's Kardavox Academy. So that's the main thing I want to do with my time. I want to have more time to be a presence in my son's life, because it's a little ridiculous that I work from home and sometimes he still feels like I don't see him enough. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it's absurd. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but that's something I need to do. And then the other thing I'd like to do with that free time is potentially, not as a news source of, although, hey, maybe if it picked up and went crazy, sure. But really, again, just for my own creative outlet, is create a side channel, the goal of the channel would not be to hit social media hard. I probably would never open up the metrics. I would not care about views or subscriptions or something, but just open up a side channel about video game content. Because one thing I love deeply is I absolutely love video games. I love the stories they tell. I love the art form that they can be. I love the questions they can make us ask. And there's of course video games that exist really just for fun, like Vampire Survivors. I mean, I don't know that there's anything like deep or philosophical about Vampire Survivors. Maybe there is. Daryl Talks Games or Jacob Geller, they could find something philosophical to talk about with the Vampire Survivors. And I'm not trying to get all super deep or anything, but it's just something that I really love. I mean, I have, if it was not for Nobuo Uematsu, I don't think, or Yoshinori Matsuda, I don't think I would be a musician, not in the same way. I wouldn't write my melodies the same way, right? A lot of like for example, there are a bunch of games, but 2 games with really great soundtracks that I think about frequently, and they're Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. And I remember as a kid, now I wasn't some like super smart, like wunderkind, like genius, but I did notice that these 2 games had music that was different. And I didn't know I was thinking about this, but things resolved, chords resolved, sections resolved differently. The music would do unexpected things. And sometimes I find myself when I'm writing vocal melodies, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about Chrono Cross. I'm thinking about Chrono Trigger. Or I'm thinking about, some of the genre fusion that you get from Nobuo Uematsu, which he's the Final Fantasy composer. Well, for Final Fantasy 1 through 9, and then for 10 he teamed up, and then he kind of stepped back. Then you have like Soken doing some stuff. But just talking about my love of it, maybe just reviews, maybe just like video game reviews. Like so far everybody I've talked to about Clair Obscur has picked an ending that I think entirely misses the point. I This is a bold statement but I think a lot of people missed the point of that game, of Clair Obscur. Not really, because I think the game is about the point can be however you resonate with it. I think that's part of the reason why Clair Obscur is such a masterpiece. But I think that there is maybe a better way to say it is there's an angle of that game that many people have not observed or thought about, or I haven't really heard it talked about in any deep way. Everybody talks about which of these two characters they sided with, and I'm like, whoa, pull it back though. I don't know. It would be like a once a month upload type of situation. But anyway, that is 37 minutes of updates. Last thing I want to tell you is the Netherwalker album review is absolutely going to happen. I have it scheduled on my calendar. I have it set to the side. Um, Enough people have asked about that. And Netherwalker is weird enough that I'm just excited to do that. So I'm going to be taking some time to film it on January 2nd. Because I have a lot of free time that day. I only have 3 lessons that day. I've got Chris, Vodham, and Dylan. What up? What up, dudes? And hopefully get that up on that Sunday. So that's all I got. Thank you all for watching as much as you did. Thank you for helping me have a career that is so interesting and awesome and fun. Thank you for being along for this wild journey. And that's all I have. So, with that being said, many thanks, much love. I'm out.